What's going on, everyone? I hope y'all are having a great day and finding some safe ways to enjoy the warmer weather. Today we're going to be cracking open a bottle of the classic and ever-popular Sierra Nevada Pale Ale. Since its inception in the 1980s, Sierra Nevada's Pale Ale has established itself as a staple in the field of craft beer, making its way into bars and home fridges alike, and even serving as a stylistic reference point for many aspiring brewers. With its massive popularity, it's no surprise that the SNPA is available year-round at many liquor and grocery stores. Though price and quantities may vary, I personally was able to pick up a 6-pack of 12-ounce bottles for $9.99. As the SNPA is in the style of an American Pale Ale or APA, I'm expecting it to have a mix of hoppy bitterness and citrus zest without cranking anything to the extremes like what's typical in the APA's bigger brother, the IPA or Indian Pale Ale. Finally, coming in with an ABV of 5.6%, you should be able to enjoy a couple of SNPAs without turning into Bill Hader and Seth Rogen in Superbad. Before getting into the pour, I want to bring attention to just how cool the bottle art is. The bright yellow and greens grabbed my attention, and the retro illustration of the Sierra Nevada mountain range kept me distracted while I was trying to film this review. Getting back on topic, I cracked the bottle open and poured it into a glass snifter. The beer came out in extremely deep copper, golden amber even, and sported a thin, off-white rocky head. When the beer settled from the pour, the already slim head quickly dissipated over the course of the next 30 seconds. Though it wasn't immediately apparent, the abysmal head retention would be somewhat problematic for reasons I'll get into in a moment. Moving on to the aroma, I took a sniff, then a whiff, and then I shoved my nose into the glass to try and latch onto something or anything at all. Though my nose shoving method may have caused me to sneeze and nearly spill the beer everywhere, it yielded the important discovery that this beer has nearly zero aroma aside from some faint yet pleasant pine and citrus. This gets back into the head retention issue I brought up earlier. I personally know many people that think any semblance of foaminess is inherently negative and a failure on behalf of your pouring ability or the beer itself. While it's true that half a glass of foam isn't fun, having some head is normal and is very important to a beer's smell. The bubbles in the head have more surface area than a flat layer of beer, making them act almost like a vessel for the aromatics to reach your nose. With this beer lacking a head unless poured extremely aggressively, the already weak smell reduced to nothing as soon as the head faded away, and as a lot of medical research shows, smell has a major impact on taste. Speaking of taste, as you may have guessed from that last tangent, the flavor, while good, lacked the potency and depth that I expected and hoped for based on the reviews of others in the bottle's description of being bold and complex. This is a malt-first beer with a hint of breadiness and a dash of caramely sweetness. Behind the malt are the hops, adding small notes of citrus and pine. The bitterness is moderate and is actually a place where I think this beer deserves a lot of praise. It gives a nice kick while not being too overwhelming to pair it with a snack. The texture's pretty typical for this style of beer. It has a medium-thin body with the zing of moderate carbonation, making it pleasant on the mouth and a breeze to drink. Sierra Nevada's website lists the Pale Ale as having 175 calories, so while my description of it's an easy drinker, it doesn't have the same diet appeal of the light category of drinks. As with most other beers, the SNPA is unfortunately not suitable for those with a gluten intolerance. However, unlike with the beer in the previous video, I can personally recommend Glutenberg's American Pale Ale as a worthy stand-in for someone interested in the style. Furthermore, I'm happy to say that the SNPA is 100% vegan, being processed without any animal products, so with this beer, there's very few reasons for anyone to feel left out. The SNPA's historical importance in the development of the craft brew scene is undeniable, but at the same time you can acknowledge its legacy while pointing out the reality that while it's a benchmark and template for APAs, it's no longer the gold standard in 2020. My expectations were sky high coming into this video, thanks to the myriad of beer aficionados claiming this to be a holy nectar possessing the intricacies of France Liszt La Campanella. Yet these expectations were quickly proven to be unrealistic as my experience with the SNPA was muted and simple, a stark contrast to the bottle's description of bold and complex. Now, while this sounds harsh, I want everyone to know that my remarks are less of frustrations with the beer and more so confusion at the way that discourse around this beer manifests itself, with a lot of attention being directed towards its aroma and taste. Had descriptions been focused on the SNPA's sessionability and smoothness, I think my expectations would have been a lot more aligned with reality and my initial impressions would have been a lot more positive. I absolutely think that the SNPA is the epitome of sessionable, being light, refreshing, and possessing a twang of the traditional APA hops while not going overboard like IPAs and some other APAs. It's amazing alongside pizza, wings, or really any snacking food for that matter, and if you're in the market for a quality beer that's affordable and refreshing, absolutely don't hesitate to pick up the SNPA. Furthermore, if you're looking to expand your horizons beyond Miller and PBR, I definitely recommend this as a foray into the craft brew world. Initially, when I ran all this info through my ultra super accurate rating system, I gave the beer a decent 6.3 out of 10, but I quickly realized that rating was far too emotional, being clouded by my improper expectations for what this beer would be. After cooling off, recalibrating my sensors, and drinking another SNPA, I gave it a good 7.2 out of 10.